Hello, and welcome to the Swatches Art live stream. This is an art challenge live stream. I'm Clint. This is my wife Diana. We are professional artists, concept artists, and instructors. And yeah, we've just put on this little challenge here on the channel, and we're going to be taking a look at the finals that were sent in. We've already looked at the sketches 2 weeks ago, and this is a live stream if you're watching immediately. But if you're catching this later, then welcome to the VOD. We will take a second here, just double check all of our settings, make sure audio sounds okay. And we're going to run through a couple of announcements, give everybody a minute to join in. Then we will jump into the art review. We already have half a dozen people in here. Marion, Verena, Miley, Thomas, Half Warrior, Izzy, Matthew, good to see you guys in there. Do let us know if there's any issues with the audio, the visual.
We had some weirdness with the mic yesterday. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. If you can't hear us or the audio gets spotty, let us know.
Otherwise, I'm getting everything green on this side, so I'm going to assume everything's okay. You guys let us know if it's not. So yeah, just a couple of things on the announcements board. We'll talk about that real quick. Obviously, in this episode, we're going to be looking at the finals for the characters of Cluthulhu. This was a character design illustration challenge. There was only 12 slots available, and we have 9 entries that we're going to be taking a look at. But then the big thing coming up next week is the 8-week live classes are going to be starting. There are 4 classes right here. I think I've covered up the other one. Let me move this over. These are the 4 that'll start up next week. Fantasy illustration is already sold out. Material rendering is almost sold out. There's only 2 spots left in it. There are a couple more spots in the other ones. The good thing about the other ones is because there are less people in it, each person gets more time. So keep that in mind when you're making your choices. Yeah, so you can go out to swatchesacademy.com if you're interested in getting details on those and signing up. Those start next Tuesday, next Thursday, depending on the class. Yeah. And that's all we've been doing the last week or two is just prepping. That's all I was doing today is like prepping for updating the character portraits class. It was good last term, but it's going to be better this time. And if you're not already, we do have the Discord. Welcome to go out there to the Discord. We had a hangout last night on the Discord.
It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun people there. It's pretty active.
We had, what, 24 or so join us last night. And yeah, people just show up, start streaming your sketching, your studies, and just chat with some of the other artists. We learned that Dinah has some knitting friends in the community.
I do now.
So that's cool. Yeah, welcome the link on the screen there. You can go check that out. If you do have questions during this live stream, feel free to put them in there into the chat here. If you do say @swatches in your comment, it will flag it in yellow for me, and it's easier for us to notice that and try to address those. Otherwise, I'll just assume you're probably chatting amongst yourselves. Now, going forwards, if you're interested in getting in another art challenge, we do have more that will be coming up, but not immediately. We've got to be able to tackle these classes. So it will probably be after these 8-week classes wrap up. So it'll be in 2 months. If it looks like we have more time, maybe we kick it off sooner. But right now the tentative is probably March when the next art challenge will start. And it will probably continue the Cluthulhu. It won't be characters again. It might be locations, props, or scenes. So we'll continue with that. All right. Anything we're missing?
I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah, we can start looking at the artwork.
let me pull the artwork down here. Close off some of these others. All right, so these are the entries that we have had for this challenge. If you did not catch the last episode, like I said, they started on these 5 weeks ago. They had 2 weeks to send in the concept. We gave them a review at that time. Then they've had another 3 weeks to work on the final, and this is what they've come up with. I'll just go down the line here in no particular order. And this is a challenge. It is not a contest. There are no winners. There are no prizes. It's just to work on something, get some professional feedback, and add something new to your portfolio. So this one is by Haley. She did the character Camille Devereaux. It was one of the dozen characters we had as options to choose from. And said, hello, decided to go with face number 2 with the dress of number 3. I'm not too happy with how the shawl turned out. Thanks in advance. So overall, thank you for sending in such a finished piece. That's nice. And this workflow that you've seen right here, this is what we have a lot of the people to go through. And it's similar to some of the approaches we will be using in the classes, which is just really taking it step by step, having plenty of references, going through the steps. And as you can see, coming up with some really excellent results here. I'll zoom in for the viewers so they can really get a nice view of the character here. Now this character is a lounge singer, 1920s. The whole thing's kind of set in the 1920s. And I know that you love some of the costuming from this period.
I like the 20s and 30s. I actually prefer the 30s, but there is similar. There's a lot of similarity. Yeah, I think you have the look of the 20s in particular. I like the face is very pretty. The proportions are good. It's a nice finish on it. I like the lighting. It's very subtle, but it's nice. And the color choices that you had some really interesting. Can you move that thing? Some interesting options. I get what you're saying about the shawl. It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
It maybe is not something I would have chosen just because it's kind of hard to do one in that shape, that fabric, and make it look, maybe a little bit more polished. I think some of your other options, like this one, was maybe a little bit stronger than the one on the left.
You mean pattern wise?
Yeah, the pattern rendering? And the fabric, those verticals, kind of sell it a little bit better, that transparency, than the other shape. But that's just me. It's just a personal observation.
It does look like a period accurate design, though.
Yeah, they all do. They all look great. This black one is really lovely. I think that would have been my personal favorite. I think it's really strong.
But I do like overall, the kind of theater appearance that she has. She is the most flashy.
It's flamboyant.
Yeah. And
you could have even pushed it further with the flamboyance, but yeah, I would have. The one critique I'm gonna give you, Haley, is there's nothing wrong with what you did. It's beautiful. I find it just maybe a tad simple still. I know there's a lot going on in the shawl, but the dress, I know there's kind of a shimmer. It's super subtle. I would have added some seams, some cuts in there somewhere to, give it a little extra something. Especially since, your references have so many great things going on.
Yeah, even on the dresses, you see some sequins. You got these little patterns over here on this one. I guess this is more for the faces. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit more. But I like your choices. Your hairstyle is great. The hair accessory is great. Beautiful makeup. Yeah.
Yep. I'm curious about maybe if the lighting is just because she's sort of in shadow, which is pretty standard for like a character illustration like this to have a light shadow. It is graying her out a bit more. I'd almost like to see having a little more richness, some of the skin tones. Like even looking down here, just really nice forms of the face when there's a little light on it.
Yeah, I feel like I notice it more personally. I go back to the character. That the hair is a little bit grayed
Yeah,
out, and that's where I notice it the most. Not so much on the face,
yeah,
but
it's
the
just
hair,
pushing towards this sort of
because most of it is this kind of gray color.
yeah, this kind of dull violet is kind of permeating a lot of the hair and skin, which is generally a better option than just like jumping on black. Uh, but you also might want to bring a bit more yellow and kind of peach tone back into that since she has, fairer skin. To just keep it out of the gray a little bit and maybe just a bit more light on the face to develop some of the forms. And I would also be looking just, and we're talking about some subtle things here because so much, this is so good. I mean, all the major work's already done here. We're talking about little minute stuff. The eyebrows are a bit solid for me. I'd almost like they're solid width and opacity as well. I'd almost want like a little variance to the thickness of them, or maybe the ends get a little bit lighter. Because right now they're almost slightly distracting from the eyes.
Yeah,
Small
I mean, you
thing.
did all the hard work. It's just a little tweaking now. I would go into the hair accessory and maybe
Yeah.
add a little bit of color variation so it's not exactly the same color as the shawl.
Hmm.
Um, just maybe a little pink or purple up there too. Just little things like that that would push it a little bit further.
Yeah. Okay, I was looking. If it was me, maybe one of the small things. Yeah, I was just looking at the hands. They're catching me a little bit, particularly like on this left side. The fingers feel a little fat for such like a thin kind of
Or maybe a little
female.
bit short. Even.
Yeah, it might be a combination of being slightly short and slightly thick. I'd look to make those a little thinner, a little more elegant.
I would just pose for them yourself. Like if I was you, I would just look in the mirror and pose my hands and take a photo. On the other hand, the thumb is kind of not looking too much like a thumb. I would go in there and just tweak that a little bit.
Yeah, on a lady, on a guy as well, but more so on a lady, like you want to divide up the sections. Like you want the top. Oh, I'm getting some lag on this.
We always do.
You want the top to have a dip to it, and you dip to the next joint, and you dip down. So each joint, it dips between each one, and then essentially you've got the opposite curve on the bottom, and then it goes to the next joint, goes to the next joint, goes back. All right, and so it keeps this elegant kind of dipping pattern as it goes. And like she was saying over here, oh, I'm sorry, there's a lag, and I'm like trying to compensate for it. So what were you saying with this hand?
It's this should really be more of a thumb from that point.
Yeah.
And it's kind of reading like a pinky.
Yeah, it's kind of backwards. It's almost like it's the other
hand.
left hand. Yeah. Yeah, this needs to be the thumb, and the thumb's probably going
lower it or
down there somewhere. So you're going to have that ball of the thumb in this area, and then that finger is going to be, well, probably this finger, then the other taller finger behind him. Do something back there. So yeah, you're really into the minor stuff with this one. If you're wanting to keep doing them, keep working on this. Or you could just leave it as is. I mean, if you're tired of it, I mean, you could. But I think if you have an extra couple of hours to put into it, it really help just kind of pull it together. Yeah. Just checking, are the art challenges free or paid? Viren is mentioning the answer there, but I'll go ahead and announce it for anybody that's actually like watching this in VOD. Yeah, there's a $20 fee to ensure which you can buy a ticket to on the Swatches Academy website. And like I said, there's a limited number of those. And I make announcements out on the different platforms when the tickets will become available for the next one. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I see for Camille by Haley. This is
Yeah.
points.
No, I think it's terrific. I loved all your options. Thought they were really good.
We have another Camille version. This one by Marion. I know this is the sketch of this one. We actually had it as a cover for the last episode.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really nice to see.
It's super polished.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's even with the other one, it was nice and polished. This one too, Marion. This does have a very professional, clean kind of polish to it. Very nice to see this. I don't know if characters are your thing or not, but this pulled out very well.
It's super lovely.
All this nice little detail in here. This is detail that makes sense. This isn't just kind of superfluous detail.
No, it was a great implementation of the information on your historical references. I like it a lot. And it goes with the face, goes with all, the colors work well together.
Yeah, I gave the little prop of the microphone. That makes sense for a lounge singer character. Obviously did their homework. Lots of sketches over there. Did some color studies. Went with that simple black gold. I mean, it's hard to beat that.
Yeah, I can't go
wrong. It's a nice combo there. So I'm seeing lots of good things here. Not much I would really critique.
I like the little details on the jewelry, the little red stones. It's just something a little more unique, more fun, specific to that character. It's a nice
I got the little ring gold with the red on it as well. Let's see what some of our inspirations were down here. Some beautiful dresses. Got the shoes.
Yeah, the shoes are spot on.
Yeah.
If I'm just going to pick on one thing, I have to pick on something because it's so great. There's the tiny thing is, okay, maybe one of the rings or something I would have made a different color so it's not all so matchy-matchy, but otherwise, I mean, it's just nice mic, nice shoes. Shoes are not easy to do well. That little, feather piece, I think it's feathers.
I think it is feathers.
Fur, it looks more like feathers. It's really well done. So I got nothing bad to say. I mean, it's really pretty face too.
Well, I was wondering about the face because, like on some of these, they have really dark eyelashes, eyeliner. And we're not really getting that as much on her. I almost feel like we ought to be getting more color over the eyes.
I like it as is.
Yeah, keep it a little more natural.
Yeah, it'll look too femme fatale if you go really dark.
Yeah.
And maybe if you want to give her a more lighthearted appearance, it's better to stay like that.
I am thinking we're getting some darks in the hair that I feel like are getting just a little too dark. I almost can't do that with this amount of...
The lag is bad. Oh, it's not gonna...
It's still going up.
Just hope it...
It's like 10 seconds behind me.
Yeah, we're having a hard time just making the lasso go around.
Yeah, I'll just look at maybe doing like a glaze of that light over it.
If you want to get more of that platinum blonde look.
Yeah, just to get, because right now it's kind of getting quite dark in some areas.
And very white.
Yeah. And get a little more of just the natural color in there. Other areas.
I think actually pushing that gold in the hair would tie it really well with the dress and everything. It's an option, but it looks great. Like that could be easily on a game. It looks very professional.
Normally I would tell people to keep like the teeth and the white of the eyes toned down a bit. I feel like this is one almost that you could push it a little brighter, but we're talking about minor stuff. Um, One idea though is watching about these super hard edges. Um, that I would recommend coming along some of these edges with something closer to a mid-tone, and it helps when you deselect. Oh no, that layer is only at 25%. That's why.
Oh, that's why. We really have to fix this lag. I don't know why it does that.
I've done it before and it did not have this lag. I've got to check my encoding.
If anyone knows how to fix this, please type it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not on a VPN or anything right now, so, and we have really good internet speed, so it's not the internet speed, it's just something else. So here is where I'm just coming along the edges. This is something that I routinely do on my, standalone characters like this. It just helps to soften it out and round over a little bit. Otherwise, it can look a bit like it's just cut out. And this also accounts for a bit of that angular reflection or the Fresnel effect, if you're familiar with that, is that you get a little light wrap around the edges, especially on round objects like this. And even if there's not necessarily a light source, the light will bend around that edge some. You've got to be a little careful of doing this on images that will be placed over a different background. Like, so if they're going to put this into a book, you might not know what color background they're going to put this character over. And if you painted that edge lighter, that might cause an issue. But if it's your standalone illustration, I would recommend it because then you actually have more control over where the hard edges are and where they're not.
We're getting something here, I don't know. It's like an issue.
YouTube is not receiving enough video information. Well, OBS is sending all the information, and it says everything's good with.
Is there any lag in the video or the sound? I don't know why YouTube's giving us an error.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm going to keep going unless it dies. I don't know anything else that
if
changed.
If something goes wrong, just hold out for a moment. We'll come back. I don't know what's going to happen here.
So that's very small stuff here. This is a beautiful piece.
I concur.
Can't really see what else to do.
Everybody says we're looking fine, so.
Okay, well, YouTube's just being picky then.
Maybe we have to clear our undo history. Is that what's making it lag?
Clear our undo history, what, in Photoshop?
Could be Adobe, I don't know. I don't know anything about this stuff.
No, I mean, this isn't a very large file.
It works fine, but then...
I mean, we're working on it all day. It only slows down when I open OBS. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can close Photoshop real quick.
But you already have everything open, no? Or no, you don't. Okay. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, sorry for the technical delay there with that. We'll give it a shot just to see if it helps. But if you do enjoy these sort of review episodes, then take a moment, hit the like on the video. Helps me know what people are most interested in. We have been talking about some other videos to do that'll be more like discussion videos, chatting about different things in the industry, career-wise, and questions that we often get from students. So, hey, will you ever come back to uploading videos or tutorials on YouTube again? Yeah, we will. There's just a lot of other things that are higher priority. YouTube is YouTube doesn't generate money for all intents and purposes, so it has to be in a point where I've got the downtime to do that. So yeah, I will, but it's not a priority at the moment.
We want to do stuff for YouTube. It's just also hard to find the time between
Yeah,
the classes and the freelance.
yeah, because we're still doing freelance at the same time that we're doing the classes. I mean, I started in September creating the fall classes, and then we were designing those all the way through their completion in November. Then immediately started working on fantasy illustration class, which I've about finished. And then we'll be teaching through all that, and I'm immediately going to start working on designing another class. So a lot of that stuff that I in the past thought I might do through YouTube, I'm just going way more in depth and putting it in the framework of classes.
There's a question. I'm sorry, I'll let you.
Oh yeah.
I just want to answer one thing. Miley says, do you think the Patreon will restart at one point? I think you said you weren't going to go back to Patreon.
Well, yes and no. I don't plan on going back to Patreon with offering the same products in the setup that I was previously. I was doing like full ebooks basically, and that's too time consuming. It's basically trying to put together an entire book every month. And but I do have some ideas for some lessons, video lessons, that I'm interested in putting out through Patreon, but that's probably towards the middle of the year soonest. So I'm keeping the Patreon page open because I may come back to that.
I think maybe something just relevant to mention is that for regarding the Patreon question and tutorials and things like that. So we know that not everybody wants to or can take a full class, that it might be too much of a time commitment or too expensive for you, and we understand that. So we are going to be making some kind of standalone, just individual lessons, paint-alongs, that are at a much, much lower price point that will be more accessible to more people that don't want to take a full class. So that will be coming, and then after this term, we'll be making and releasing some of those. So there's more stuff coming out that's not necessarily a full class. It's just we have a lot on our plate, so it takes a while to make these things.
Yeah, those are things that we could consider releasing through Patreon and then putting into the store afterwards. But once we make it, we'll have a better idea of how that might fit into the Patreon platform. Now, this piece is Marilyn Maddox. This character is a reporter. And the whole premise of this, if you totally missed the last episode, is that it's a murder mystery, right? All these different people meet at this mansion. Somebody gets killed, and they're trying to figure out who done it. And it will have a kind of Cluthulhu vibe undertone to it. So this is the reporter character. Only version of it I think that we got. And this is Luca. Luca from the contest.
Yeah, Luca's in the chat, I think.
Hey, Luca. So
he says, I wish I had went more in depth with the rendering, but I'm very satisfied design-wise.
I think you should be. It immediately reads as a reporter character. She's got some attitude to her.
Good expression.
Yeah. I had put in, let's back up a little bit. I had put in Aurora's images as inspiration for this challenge. It's one of the ones I had in mind. And I think he definitely took some cues off of that. I'm seeing some of that influence in there, which is really nice to see. And yeah, I would agree that it could be given some more attention, like a lot of the edges, there's not like any thickness or stitching along some of the edges. The hands needs more love.
Yeah, some weirdness a little bit, in there, but I mean, we know what you can do, Luca. We've
Yeah.
seen your work, so.
So judging that from where it is, I'd say the design's working quite well.
Mhm.
That red hair is popping nicely.
That hat is super well done. It's
Yeah.
hard to do a good hat, but it's not easy. You did the hat really well, and the face is great. The hair is fun. The gesture and the pose are great. So there's a lot of good stuff. I agree. The hands and the feet need a little bit of attention.
Yeah, those feel like they're unfinished to me. Some of the folds on the pants aren't really working. I feel like we probably need some different fold action going on there. I don't know about the stripes. This is almost a little distracting to me. I wish maybe it was a little more subtle with the stripes, or if it was just solid color.
I agree. Right now, it's kind of, I don't mean this in a bad way, I swear, but it's kind of reminding me of the Jeep from Jurassic Park. Like it kind of has those colors, those stripes on green.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that's like what it reminded me of. Yeah, I would tone it down. Maybe something to match your other colors that you have going on.
Yeah, the purple here is kind of an odd outlier because we're not using those colors anywhere else.
I like it though. I feel like it has a more Cluthulhu vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually just use the purple more maybe on the
scarf.
Yeah,
I could also see them being used as the buttons on the cuffs, cuff links, I guess. So that would be one thing. Yeah. The face could use some more color. I'd look to push like some more redness in the nose, maybe a little more color around the cheeks. And eyes and around the eyes, even without makeup, will push more to violets around the area just because the capillaries are so close to the top of the skin and there's so many capillaries there that it gives it this violet tint. So I push that in there because the skin's feeling a little one tone right now.
Just glaze a little bit over.
Yeah. I guess you're going for like dyed hair. This isn't obviously natural red hair. This is like.
I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I can see the character doing that. Note on characters and for real life, don't dye your eyebrows.
Yeah, it doesn't work the way.
It doesn't work.
I've tried that in the past to avoid the experience. It doesn't work the way you think it's gonna work.
Unless
Sorry, I don't know who needs to hear this, but yeah, if you dye your hair, just leave your eyebrows alone.
What is that? A night elf from like Warcraft? You can have like purple hair and purple eyebrows because you have green skin or blue skin or whatever. It's like, okay, well, we're past human at that point. You can, game's open.
One little thing I'm gonna just mention, Luca, is that it looks like your top lip has lipstick, and your bottom lip doesn't.
Yeah.
So I would just go one way or the other. Either put a little bit of lipstick on the bottom lip, or then just tone down the saturation on the top lip to just look natural. Because right now it's kind of half there, half here.
I would also suggest darkening the hat a little bit. It's getting really close to the same tones as the face. I would just drop it like one value or half a value lower, so it just has a little more contrast.
Just to pop it a little more. It's so pretty. Like, look at the reed. It has such a nice reed.
Yeah. Something else I was looking at, I was curious how she did in hers, which is white fabric.
Oh, the white shirt.
Yeah, I feel like you might want to add some more tone to that white shirt.
Well, what she does is she uses a different color background. Or what, I don't know.
Well, that's somebody else.
Okay, but that's the problem resolved a different way. So you got kind of a situation where when your background is white and your shirt is white, you kind of have to drop one of them. So like one of them has to go a little darker. It's either your background or the shirt. Otherwise, you kind of lose it all.
Yeah, you're already playing into some nice warm kind of earthy tones. So I would say play into that. And as long as everything's kind of tinted that way, you can make the shirt a little brown like that, and it won't necessarily look dirty. It's just
a
going to
warm
look,
gray.
yeah. So I'd do that, and you can put more value into it and make it stand out a little bit more. Yep. Now, if you do finish this up, I probably would recommend just doing a light shadow on the ground. You still doesn't need background or anything, but just a little shadow underneath them, just to help kind of give it a base for presentation.
Yep.
Yep.
But it's always
nice
good
stuff.
work from Luca.
Yep, yep.
It's fun, has personality.
Mr. Quincy Behari is up next. Mr. Quincy the Butler.
Ooh.
Got a couple of comments down here. Let's see if we read those. Ended up rushing this before deadline, but I hope to explore some other faces and spend more time rendering on final. Oh, okay, this is from the previous time. All right, these are comments we looked at last time. Okay. So, yeah, no major changes here. This was the sketch. So it looked like they just went in there, mainly did cleanup. We mentioned like mutton chops or mustaches. And I like the choice here. I think it fits that character. Yeah.
He's very manly for a servant, you know. He looks very independent.
He's got his own opinions. You know that. You can just look at him. The arm behind the back, kind of concealing what is he actually holding. That's a nice little gesture. And yeah, on this, I don't have any problem with the overall design. I really like the big, simple shapes you're using for this character. Just overall, he just has a very clear silhouette, like big guy, and you're not over complicating like some of these lines, right? And sometimes you want to get in there and you really want to give lots of little bumps and changes. But I think the choice of keeping it very simple works nice in this regard. There is more pushing that can be done here. I think that it really would have a higher kind of level of finish professionalism if you did go put a couple more hours, especially into the face.
Yeah.
And that everything blocks in pretty well, but we are getting like quite a bit of fuzziness, no real definition around a lot of it.
I would add a bit. I'm looking at the thumbnail there, and I'm just thinking a bit of color zoning would help a lot.
Yes.
It's getting a little bit white on the forehead as well from where I'm sitting anyways.
Yeah, a character like this, I mean, I would love to do it, and I can do it pretty quick if there wasn't a stupid amount of lag. I'll try it. If I can't get it to work, then I won't worry about it. But you're going to get some violet tones around here. I'm just glazing multiply at 24%. A little violet there. Grab some red towards the pink side, around the nose. Dash a little on the cheeks. Foreheads tend towards the yellow. It's still peachy range for this skin color, but it's going to lean towards the yellow side for the forehead. I'm going to push.
You can give him a specular highlight if he's really greasy, really sweaty.
Yeah. I'm going to get some more of that around the eyes. And you can actually get slightly into the blue territory on the inside of the eye right there, a little bit on the lower part. And you're also going to get some of the kind of blue, green, gray in the stubble area. So in this area, you're going to have some more of this tone. And probably on his neck as well. Areas where he would normally have a beard if he didn't cut it.
It's the follicles.
Yep. And there's just not as many capillaries to the top of the skin there, so maybe let's set this up a little bit so it's a little more visible. Yep.
You might want to, I don't know if you can really see it on the ear, but usually go redder.
Oh yeah, you're going to get more of kind of a reddish. Oh, it's multiplied, so it's only going to darken.
Yeah, it's only going to go so much.
Yep. And I feel like it might get like a little sheen off that nose.
Yeah, and the eyes.
Eyes getting a little bright in there, I feel. Try to go like that. He might have a little heavier sacs under his eyes there. And also watch that getting too bright. Okay. So yeah, this is subtle. That's maybe just a little strong.
It's a bit strong.
You know, just set it in the high 20s there. But you can kind of see the difference that makes. I'll just flip it on and off and kind of watch. It just gives more color variance. It's one of the things that we go over in the portraits class that can really help bring a character more to life. And the rest of it just needs the same kind of attention. The edges, some of these are like just really clean. So I just need to come in here, refine some of these edges, like exactly where is the bottom of that cloak. Can we have a little separation between those? I feel like this is a good block-in for the, I forgot what those are called, the cloister?
I don't know what it's called.
I think it's called the cloister. Yeah, I mean, somebody could correct me.
I don't know if anyone knows what that thing is called. The dome on the plate.
Yeah, because we're watching that cooking show. I think they called it a cloister.
I have no idea.
That feels like a good block-in, but it is getting maybe a little overly dark. We're getting like straight blacks on an area that is receiving light. So probably brighten that up just a little bit.
Just one point. If you wanted to make it more Cluthulhu, like more Cthulhu, you might want to have like some kind of weird tentacle or something coming out of on the plate up from under the dish. Have it kind of, you know, slanted, the lid slanted, and have something weird come out.
Yeah.
That might add a little bit of mystery, right? So, you know, just a little narrative thing. If you wanted to add something more, give the guy, you know, a narrative element, like what's he doing, what's he serving.
Yep, I like that idea too. Klaus. It's called a Klaus? Clues?
Close. You can watch this
Klaus.
struggle with English words.
Great, definitely going to share the finished one on the Discord. Hey, that'd be great. If any of you guys put some more work into these, put them out on the Discord. There's also a specific room on the Discord for before and afters related to the challenges. So put in your sketch, then put in your finished piece side by side, just as inspiration for other people. You have a plate dome. There you go.
I like the
cloche.
A cloche? Oh my gosh. Are you guys just messing with us so that we'll read all these things and embarrass ourselves? We really, we don't know.
Is it possible to get somewhere your brushes you use? Not currently, but
close.
Sign up for a class. I'll give them to you. No, I really should just put them out on the store. Some of these I've got from other people, so I'm not going to sell them. But
I'd put them out for free.
Yeah, most of the time I use very basic ones. I'll take just a minute to talk about some of my favorite ones.
I'll have to do that thing people do where I search on YouTube how to pronounce this word, and then the voice tells you how to say it properly.
Yeah.
It's French. Okay, well that explains it. My French sucks.
The regular round brush, honestly, I use most of the time.
Mhm.
And then I was sketching some portraits earlier today, and I was just using the elliptical regular round brush that's been squeezed at an angle just to give me a little line variance. Then otherwise, my other main default brush that I enjoy is this. It's kind of a square brush, but it has soft edges on it. So if I go like this direction, the edges are pretty sharp, but the other sides and the ends are like softer. Um,
We'll try to do that. Like,
yeah.
let's aim to do that maybe next weekend and
Mhm.
figure it out. But we can't really sell them. Even all my brush packs are just mixes of other brush packs.
Yeah,
I've
I
only
mean,
made like one or two myself.
I've got dozens of brushes that I've either made or bought that I use once every several months, once a year, depending on the
Yeah,
project I'm
like the
on.
rake.
Yeah,
Once a year, I bust out the rake brush.
but like 80, 90% of the time, I'm using just like one of five brushes. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. This is the Sir Maximilian Bancroft III character being sent in by We,
By we.
and said after the feedback, I went back to redesign the character and repose the character. I didn't realize it was supposed to be dressing up for a night party. Yeah, because I mentioned Arctic Explorer, and last time they took that very literally, had him in like full Arctic gear.
I like this costume.
Yes. I guess I got too excited. I didn't read the details. I did enjoy working on the character. I did struggle with rendering with textures, so I wasn't sure how I execute it right.
I like what you did. Your references are good. That's what I was thinking about. Like
Yeah, yeah,
the
that's what it did.
this, everyone's got that on their pinboard. Sexy old guy with the white beard and the white hair. So that's definitely like
I'll
the
move
right
that over. People
direction.
can see.
Yeah.
Alas, I shall never have such a beautiful beard.
We'll just keep trying. Maybe one day it'll happen. The beard fairy will come.
Yeah, the beard. I might have a really nice looking like goatee. Yeah.
Keep doing good deeds, and maybe the beard fairy will give you a beard. I like the Cthulhu staff or
Yeah,
walking
that's a
stick.
good call.
That's a nice touch.
We did some color variations over here.
Is he's bringing the skull to the dinner party? Maybe that could be his friend that didn't make it on the
Mm,
expedition.
poor Henry. Yeah. Okay. Pretty similar, just variations of the brown, kind of green. Using a pose reference, that's good. Always make sure you use the pose references. And yeah, this fits much better than the previous design. And I am liking the overall direction with this. I too like the kind of Cluthulhu nod with the staff there.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, one of the things I would fix is I would adjust the pose a little bit. I know that you're staying very true to your reference image, but he's like leaning back very heavily in this one to kind of an unnatural degree. I would just I didn't even touch anything and it moves. Okay. Um, I would just straighten up his upper body a little bit so he's a little more proper kind of upright pose rather than the lean back. It almost is like he's scared of something and he's kind of leaning away from it.
Yeah, it's just a strange lean. You might want to just straighten his back out a little bit.
Yeah. As far as the rest of the costume choices, how are you feeling about that?
I feel like part of your coat is missing.
Yeah.
Because you've got a piece, may I?
Mm-hmm.
You've got a piece coming here, right? I don't know if they can see the cursor.
Yeah, they can see the cursor.
Okay, you've got a piece coming here, right? That's buttoned into this part, but then it's not here. And I know you're probably trying to show the leg, so you got a choice to make here, which is either you put the coat in, and I think I know why you didn't do that. It's probably because you didn't want it to look so boxy, or you wanted that leg to be visible. In that situation, then you got to open up the coat, right? If you want to prevent it from getting like that rectangular shape.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it's kind of halfway there, halfway open and halfway closed. So you kind of got to decide. The least destructive thing to do would be to just paint in the other half of the coat here.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at a couple of the options. One is that other side is coming down here. Another option is waiting for the computer to catch up, and then I'll move the screen over. Any moment now. Look on this reference down here. I guess shortening it up. Like, so you could have the end of the coat coming, not that far underneath the belt. And then you would just have pants
That's true.
on
and
both sides.
You can see the pants that way too. That's a
Or
good idea.
this doesn't have to wrap so far around there. You could have that edge come down like here. In which case, you could have like that part wrap around the other side of the.
But it's still buttoned into these buttons.
Oh yeah, it would have to come from this side.
It's coming here, right?
Yeah, it has to go behind those buttons. Yeah, that's the problem. So yeah, I'd say shorten it, or you have to add it to the other side and cover that leg up.
But I agree that shortening it might be maybe the least destructive way of resolving that, because yeah, if you do paint it, it'll end up really boxy there. So just something to think about. What are you looking for?
I was going to pull up, just kind of show them. I don't know if they're familiar with the site.
We're on another window pulling something up.
Yeah, just a second. I'm trying to pull up a reference.
Has to be taller.
Well, I was just going to show them the page if they haven't seen it. So one of the things I'm looking at down here is your boots. Now, it's something that we talk about, which is shoes, boots, feet are always a pain, but you gotta get them right, or they always look funky. So I think it would be worth putting a bit more time into the boots. And what I would do, what I'd recommend, is going out to sketchfab.com. This is it right here, sketchfab. And I just put in leather boot, and you ought to be able to find something that's pretty close to what he's got there, at least the basic look of it. I don't know if they have any of the super tall boots or not.
You have to spend some time looking through.
But I'll just click on this one. So these are 3D models. You can look at them right here in your browser. Let that load for a second. And you can just rotate this around. And that's what I would do. I would literally just like get this and set this, next to my image. Let's move this guy over here. And then be like, okay, well, his foot's kind of turned this way. I'm looking down at it a bit. Okay, well, there I have a reference. I can actually look at something now that's in the right angle, that's pretty similar to what I need. Of course, this is just a right foot, so you would need to reverse this for the other foot. But then you can rotate it around for the other foot as well. It'd be like that, but you would flip it, right? So yeah, if you haven't used Sketchfab to help figure out some things like that, they also have skulls. Like if you need a skull in that exact pose, 100%.
They have lots of those.
Yeah.
That's an easy thing to find.
That is something that we use on a consistent basis for all these items. Like we don't have the actual item to look at, so that's a good choice. Good stuff here. That was my major points. I think just referencing maybe the boots and watching that pose and dealing with the, how they want to sort out that coat bit.
Yeah, much improved from the last time, though. A lot of really nice changes. I like the colors that you used too. I think maybe you kind of need to decide what the top of that cane is made of, because it's just kind of this green color right now. So it's kind of matching his sweater. So you got to kind of figure out, is that metal? Is that like wood? Is it ivory? What's it made of?
I mean, I feel like it's a metal, but even then, ask yourself whether it's like patinaed brass or is it more in like gold. Each one of those is going to shift it a little bit one way or the other.
Mm.
I do like the face and the hair. Getting good personality out of that. He pulled in some good references like the dark eyebrows, but with the white mustache.
Yep, that works really
That's a nice
well.
combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Getting good form groups out of the hair as well. And didn't like overwork this. You've got kind of a stylized fur thing going on. That's actually working quite well.
Yeah, you might want to apply that to the other areas too.
Yeah, these are just more poofy. They don't seem as interesting as
Mm-hmm.
the fur up there along the collar. Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up on that one. We appreciate the entry. Hopefully you found that helpful. This one is by Ryan. Ryan missed the concept submission, but he did work on it and got the final sent in. So we've not looked at this one before.
Which character?
This is Eddie Valentine,
Oh, the
private eye, yeah. And he's kind of your classic hard-boiled private eye of the era. And I think 100% that sells. Like, I get that vibe from this dude.
He totally looks like he could be from here.
That Portuguese dude?
Yes, he totally. I like it. Bonus points for looking Portuguese. I like that. And I like the hat.
Yeah.
A lot. It's a great pose.
Very simple props to help sell the character. We chatted about that last time, and I think people are really making good choices with that. Is if you can only pick one or two props to convey like who this character is and what they do. Yeah.
I think this is a gun.
Yeah, I think he's got a
gun
in his
to tell.
In his waistband. That would be I think that's the end of a gun.
I think so. It's kind of merging a bit with the shirt. So
yeah, I'm a little unclear if it's like that or he's got like a mic on him, that sort of thing. Hi, how do I enter the art challenge if there's a next one? If you missed it earlier, I'll go ahead and just repeat it real quick. We have tickets, basically slots. There's only 12 places available for the art challenge. You will need to go out to the swatchesacademy.com store to buy a spot in the competition. I think I said it $20, and that's how you get in. All the information is in that. But we probably won't run another one for another 2 months because we're going to be busy with classes. Okay, so quite happy with it. If we were to make some suggestions of improvement, what's the idea with that?
There's a lot of black and darkness. And
yes.
Just the classic issue where you want to glaze over with the true value.
Okay, let's run through this real quick. This applies to so many people. It's one of the things that we actually went over when we did portfolio reviews last month. There's a lot of the pieces that we ended up giving the same advice to, which is when you're getting too much black. And this one, I'd say that there is getting to be too much black. All shadows don't need to go so dark. Most of the time you want to keep things closer to their natural color and only let them vary a little bit unless it's an occlusion shadow.
The value range of cloth is not huge.
Yeah, it's like this sort of cotton fabric is very dull and it's going to resist really getting dark and it's going to resist getting highlights. So the way that you combat that is even if you've got to the point where this is the case, where there's like too much black in the shadows and whites in the highlights, just make a normal layer, set it between 30-40%, and then come in, I'm just picking a normal brush there. I'm going to pick whatever the natural color is. I'm going to say that is about the natural color for this overall jacket. And you just want to put that back over all of the fabric, except the inclusion shadows. So like the very, very inside part of that, I'm not going to put it in there. And I won't do this whole thing because it's going to take 5 years because of lag. But I will do a section here for you to see. Okay. So by doing that, we've eliminated a lot of that black and brought more color back into the piece. And you want to do the same thing down here as well with the pants. They are getting...
I think they're meant to be brown, but they're kind of sliding into purple and other things. And then dark black underneath. So just brushing some more of what I believe to be the true colors, probably something around here.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah. I grab something even lighter. Yeah, this is something a lot of people can do, and it's really going to help bring color and combat that blackness. So I would just give a go of that all around him and bring that back up. What about the face? I think there's a lot of stuff going well on the face.
I like that it's got a character to it, and it's not just like a standard face.
Mm-hmm.
I like the facial hair. I feel like it's cutting in pretty deep here.
Yeah.
And here.
Yeah, he's got... she's pointing with her fingers, so you can't see it. So I was going to mark it here. So we're getting quite dark in this area and this area, as if it's really cutting back deeply, and that's sort of throwing off the form of the face a bit. I would recommend letting that not be so different. The tone down here is probably going to be very close to the rest of the cheek that's right next to it. And generally you want to play down these nasal folds. On a kind of a gritty dude like this, I mean, you can have them in there, just not as strong as we've got them right now.
It's kind of hard with the lag to paint.
Yeah, I can't really dial this in the way that I'd want. Yeah.
No, continue. What were you going to say?
I was saying that we're getting a bit too much space between the eyes, and I would shift the eyes in, and maybe the eyes need to be slightly bigger. They are looking just a tad small, and I would move them so there's kind of enlarge them slightly towards the middle, take up a little of that space.
Okay. Oh, wait, you don't have the same shortcuts that I have.
No, I don't. You have to tap the eyedrop or Alt key.
You have the Alt here?
Option.
Option, oh, okay. And then B, is that your?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would just be careful with this very, like, purple color under here. I just tone that a little bit down. You can go into the red a little bit, but I would pick something like that, maybe.
Yeah, she's getting a little too strong into the purple side.
Sorry, and it's really hard to paint with this.
Yeah.
Oh no. Can you undo that for me? Because it just didn't let me select. I would also mind a bit of this yellow that's in here. It reads a little weird just because in the cheeks the expectation is that there should be a little bit more of this, a bit more of this color here. So
yeah, it's pushing into the...
Can you undo that? It's just so hard to... No, not that much.
Too late.
Too late. Oh, got a lot. But it's getting in the orange. That's not what I want.
Well, we're going to overdo it, and they can tell, obviously, that that's too much.
Obviously. So, just a light glaze. I'm struggling with
the computer. You usually lower your opacity on your brush anyway. So.
So just getting the warmer colors in here
Mm-hmm.
and here, kind of dialing back some of that yellow.
We're getting like a really strong cheek in cut
Yeah.
on this guy. But he doesn't come across as like an overly thin guy that would have that tight of a cheek line. So I would just soften that out so it's a little smoother between that cheekbone and the cheeks going down to the jaw.
And then you had the right idea here with this kind of a cooler color.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just going a lot into the gray. You might want to just bring a little bit more of the color back in,
mm-hmm.
and then decide if you want the facial hair here or not. I don't know exactly what the hair pattern is, but yeah, it's just a little bit aggressive on some of these folds.
Yeah.
And by just softening it a little bit more, you get a bit more of a natural look. Yeah, I'm tired of fighting with it.
Yeah,
I can't fight with the lag
so
on the computer,
slow.
but you get the idea. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the design is reading quite well.
I feel like it needs a little something, and I would say maybe if there's a pocket or something that papers could be sticking out of, just
mm-hmm.
something to give the silhouette a little bit more oomph, like maybe there's a pocket here and some papers are sticking out of it.
Yeah. Having like something here, or if he's got like a lower pocket here and he's got some papers, sticking out of this area somewhere.
Just to kind of vary the
silhouette,
give it a little bit more interest.
Yeah. And this guy, if it was me, I would throw just like a little dirt or something. This guy's maybe just not quite as presentable as everyone else. Mm-hmm. He's not quite as keen on keeping up his looks. He doesn't care. So I would just give a couple of scuffs to his shoes, maybe a mud splatter here or there, and he got it on his way and never cleaned it. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. It's understated, mm-hmm. but you did it well.
Well, it's exactly what you need for a game like this. Mm-hmm. We've got, we're talking about like a fictional board game, and needs a character that you can look at, you immediately kind of understand who they are, and it's not trying to be too involved, right? Okay.
Yeah, I like that a lot, though.
We have another Maximilian version
right.
by Thomas. All right, lovely. Says, hi, Clint and Diana, a new version of Sir Maximilian. Revised my version of the Arctic Explorer to make the character more believable as a dinner guest. Thanks for the challenge. It was really fun.
Yeah, this is exactly the right direction.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very nice. More good-looking old dudes down here. Check that out. That'll be me one day. I'll just Photoshop my beard in.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to just Photoshop yourself to look like one of those guys.
These kind of jackets, I think that's a good call for this kind of character.
That's a really good choice.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that being a good fit. Mm-hmm. Did some lighting studies with a little setup. That's kind of a neat way to do it. White, black, doing a little egg shape. So these were the sketches. But this, you had the kind of the ski pole, and backed off of that, made him a bit more.
Yeah, I like that choice to kind of
dinner party guest.
Move it more this way. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Stance is good. Working off of this reference down here, that's nice. I don't really have any problem with the pose. I think holding the cane, holding it's like a pipe.
It's a pipe.
Yeah. Okay. The jacket's a good call. He's got a knife with him. He's got a little pouch. That seems reasonable
Yep.
for a character like this.
I think those are all good choices.
Yeah. And a backpack. So yeah, he probably brought some of his souvenirs and stuff
To show off.
to show off at the dinner party. That makes sense. And yeah, he did keep the goggles. I think that's fun.
Well, he could have been wearing those on the motorcycle on the way.
Yeah, true.
The sidecar.
Yeah. All right, so from here, changes to be made at this point. I do think you could put some more time into it. I don't think there's major changes. I think we're just talking about refining if you do put more time into it. Like the hands, another one, I always feel like hands can almost use more attention. They look pretty good, but we're losing like some of the form, the tones around the knuckles, around the joints.
Hands are hard. I know they're hard.
There are time holes, but we got to get them right. And
the face is really nice.
There's a lot of good stuff with the face there. I am caught a little bit on the hairline that we got that what looks like a center part towards the side.
No, it's a side part. It's not a center part.
Yeah, but if it's a side part, it doesn't need to go straight up here.
Okay, that's a different issue.
Yeah,
but I think it's obviously too far to be a center part.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of wondering. It's like if it was a center part that's off, or whether it's a side
let's
part.
Look at the references. Go back. Yeah, I think it's just there's no center parts on any of these guys. It's a side part.
Okay. Okay, and the rest of it. The leather, I'll tell you what, a leather jacket like this is tricky. You've got what I would consider a good block in for this, but I do think another pass could really help to sell it. One of the things that is catching me a bit.
Yeah, he says it's a side part. See?
Okay. Is that I would try to treat it as having a little more of a top light. Like if you look at this guy's jacket here, you've got basically the upward facing planes are a bit lighter and the under planes are a little bit darker. It's a really good, just kind of basic way to light something. Now this one, they've got front lights on this dude. This is like a professional shoot, which is one of the reasons we're getting like some of these glares here. But when you're a character, we're getting like some really darks right along the top edge. And even though it's on the shadow side, I would let that get a little bit lighter towards the top, and like the underside of the arm down here probably getting a little more shadowed. Just to help to keep the form to read. Same thing here, like the top of the arm, letting that be brighter and letting that get darker as it rolls under. Then the part down here, probably just letting all of that be a little bit more shadowed since it's under the arm. So some small form things dealing with the light on that would probably be nice.
One thing I would suggest, and this is just something I see Clint do typically, is giving your leathers different colors, basically. Because right now it's kind of all the same, and that flattens out the costume a bit. So like you have some that are darker, some that are more purple.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind with leather is that the darker the leather, the more it shifts into cool colors. So like this like dark oak black jacket here on the left side, basically it's blacks and grays and blues and just a little bit of warm to paint that one. Where this one over here is more to the warm side, but even this, you're getting like this cool kind of bluish violet tones in there that are kind of desaturated. You got some of these kind of warm reddish tones over here on this side. You've got more of the sandy color over here. And this kind of leather is going to also have an amount of texture to it. You're going to get that sort of natural creases and.
Do you have an example of the different like strips color of leather to show him kind of what we're talking about specifically, so that it's not abstract?
Let me see if I can pull up something on materials class.
Just so we can see what we are referring to. Don't you have like 3 strips or something?
These?
No, the other one or that. Oh, yeah, it doesn't really matter. So we're talking about different colors of leather, Thomas. This is what we mean. So either, some of them skewing more towards like the dull kind of, duller brown, some of them more towards violet, some of them more towards the red.
Mm-hmm.
Some leathers can be really dark chocolate, like almost black, right? So just giving it, if you have that example of that pirate or something that had like different colors of leather on it. Remember the one I'm talking about? No, it wasn't that one. Yeah, like this one. I don't know where his hat is, but
right here.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So different types of leather. One is more red. One is more more brown. So if you made like the knife one type of leather, the jacket another, the boots another, you could have 2 items that are the same, same color, but just changing, but not making them all the same, right?
Yeah.
And then that would give your character more dimension and give the design, more variation in it, rather than just using the same brown. Anyway, we've harped on that long enough.
I will note this to not just to Thomas. I'll go ahead and just mention this kind of across the board for people interested in doing this kind of character. These characters are super advanced, and largely due to the way that they're lit. These are very complicated lightings that require advanced skills to do, and I can almost guarantee you,
at least that one for sure,
that they are using photos of models to get them started, or they're using very accurate 3D models that they're setting up lighting to and like painting over them. The level of correctness for all of the forms, folds, values, shadow patterns is just so accurate. I really doubt that these are being drawn by hand entirely.
Just 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so realize that
so
if that's the kind of reason,
yeah, it's hard to achieve exactly that look without using some of those tools, without having a model in a costume lit in your studio. You're taking a photo. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened with that middle one. Looks like it's based off of a model wearing a similar costume with a specific light pointed there from the right side. Because just painting that from imagination, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that can do that, but it's so correct. So it's hard to emulate that in our pieces that are largely, from imagination or just painted from the ground up. So yeah, it's good to have this as inspiration, but just realize, like, if you're not able to achieve these results painting it manually, that's normal. That's normal, because there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. All right, that's what I've got for Thomas. Any last things you want to mention?
I thought it was a great design.
Yeah.
Great pose. Really captured the character.
Yep. I'd say it definitely did. Oh yeah, it jumped back over here.
We have one more.
And then Temperance has one in there.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's a Temperance one in there. Yeah. So this is Augustine Cross, using her portrait on the thumbnail for this episode. This one is by Verena.
Sorry that you were almost last. We didn't do that on purpose.
So this is the kind of the fortune teller, seer,
yeah, it's the
occultist.
astrologist
Yeah.
lady. Yeah, that comes to the dinner party and wants to do a seance,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And lovely. I
Hmm.
really like this.
Yeah, I think
And
you really made some good choices with like keeping some things, removing some things,
mm-hmm.
nice editing. You kept the heterochromia in the eyes, but then you removed all that the tattoos and things that
Yes.
were it was just a lot. So this is really clean. Um, yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, like a very kind of professional image that
Mhm.
could be ready to be used in a game. Like the subtle snake part on the necklace.
It was subtle, yeah.
Great call
That's great.
there.
Great idea.
The face is one that just it gets your attention and it
Hmm.
has a lot of character to it. So I really like that. Yeah, I know that it's sometimes it's easy because like in the original one you had like snake tattoos that were going across her chest and around her neck. Um, but learning when to let go of some of those ideas, even though they're cool ideas, for the sake of
The
the
greater image.
yes, uh, that's just a sign of artistic maturity,
Hmm.
and you're showing a lot of mature choices in this one.
Yeah, I would say even like there's a scar, it looks like on the lip. I would say you don't even need that. I mean, it's so small that at a distance you don't
Yeah.
even see it. You got a lot going on with the face, that lovely beauty mark right there, very appropriate to the time. You
Mm-hmm.
got the eyes going on. You got that nice beaded hat headpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I made some sketches for this theme just for fun, and I put one a similar thing on one of my characters. So it's super cool, but yours is cool because you made an eye out of it,
Yeah.
which I noticed. That's a
Yeah.
really smart touch. That's one step further. Yeah, I
The
think it's
hair
great.
also, I've got to call out. There's a lot of thought and control that went into the hair here. It's got wonderful kind of wavy patterns to it. It's not being super literal. And the other thing, and this is actually very similar to the other piece I was talking about, of keeping a very limited value range on light hair
Mm-hmm.
and just keeping it right within that golden light sort of range. And that even the darkest part of the hair is still very light. And that allows the eyes and the other features that are darker to really pop out really well.
Yeah, really pretty. I like it.
Yeah, the crystal ball reads quite well. I like that. If if you can make an adjustment, one of the things that I would suggest is adjusting, maybe just popping some light on the edge of this hand because it's getting very lost.
Yeah, that's my one critique too, is that the hand is just kind of we're losing it.
Yeah, I would just treat it as if kind of this light that's on the outside of this crystal ball here. Maybe there's some other light in the scene, right? And it could just be catching the edge of this hand a little bit. The whole thing doesn't need to be like way brighter. That wouldn't make sense. But at least catching like the tops of these fingers and that right side could help to have this to read a little better. And then the rest of this dress, another thing that's good, and this is for everybody, just keep in mind, a level of professionalism is making sure everything has had attention. So it's not like they, she finished the face and then left, part of the fur kind of unaddressed.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone around, you've given every part of this attention,
Mm-hmm.
and that really helps bring the overall level of the character up.
Zoom out again. Yeah. So there's in this case, the skirt is very plain, is very simple. I think that's okay because you have so much going
Yeah.
on in the top half that it doesn't need to be hyper detailed in the bottom. Um, but yeah, I like this a lot. Really good editing.
Yeah, I don't know if you have plans to do this kind of work going forward. I can't remember what you said that you were wanting to do exactly. But if you did a handful of characters in this sort of line, then that would look really nice in a portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
And I imagine you could start getting work doing this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, Varen already gets work.
Yeah.
But I think we saw scenes from her last time. So this is something that is less, I think, less of a commitment than a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And that could still, look really good on your portfolio.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stance. Yeah, I just don't really have more that I would change here. Maybe just a little light wrap along those top shoulders because it's just a super kind of black edge that's very harsh. And just to soften that out a little bit. Minor stuff though. Definitely planning on doing more characters. I'm glad to hear it.
Super nice.
Looking forward to seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is another one. Maybe just a bit more pink on the nose and on the cheeks for some skin tone variety there. It's getting a bit of that one tone kind of peach color across everything. So yeah, multiply layer, 20-25%, fairly pure color, glaze over it. Should be good.
Mm-hmm.
We got one more to look at. This one is by Sarah.
I'm excited about this one. This one was the Cranky Nurse.
I think these are the same except for one is in the...
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we'll just look at this one. People can get kind of a...
She has had it.
Too many long days. It said, I ended up agreeing that a stiffer pose actually fit the character and really focused on trying to make her look truly unimpressed. I did not finish rendering a painting out my lines, but this may provide a good opportunity to get a second opinion on the lighting. Okay. So yeah, we've got the nurse, Temperance St. Clair. She's supposed to be 20 to 40 years old, have a skirt, short hair, or updo. No big design changes from the sketch.
No, I like it.
There wasn't really much to change from the sketch. The design was quite good to begin with. So let's pull in.
That scowl. It's great. Like, this is part of what makes something entertaining, right?
Yeah.
It's making characters entertaining, is really leaning in to what each character is about. And that means, not making them all nice, not making them all friendly. Some of them are jerks, right? So you can really lean into that, and that adds to the entertainment for the viewer, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not everybody's in the same emotional position, right? Some people are going to be upset. Some people are going to be proud. Some people are going to be excited, and helping that to read. And so she's got a jar of ink.
Probably poison.
Octopus.
I would make it
ink?
I would make it really lime green, like really toxic looking. Maybe it's Cthulhu fluid or something. I like the bag and the pocket.
Okay, so from here, she's not finished working on it. So if she could throw a few more hours into this, what do you think needs to be done?
I feel like the feet are looking a little small to me.
I would agree. They are on the small side. She's definitely poisoning everybody. Yeah, the feet look a bit small. Those could probably be made a little larger. Just kind of comparing them to the size of the head. On the small side. The light does feel a little flat. The forms are getting like a bit flat on the arm because it's like the light is just hitting it directly from the camera, which sort of flattens it out. I would try to treat it as if the light is a little higher, so we have a little more of a top down. We even see that on a lot of Aurora's stuff too. We can try to pull back to that just real quick and kind of compare. Generally going to have this kind of a top down light, and it, she's putting it on one side or the other.
But you can see how limited the value range is in the fabric, right?
Yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier, is that you want to keep things very near their normal value. Something else that she does on a lot of her characters is overall they're more lit on the upper body portrait area. Then the whole body gets a bit more shaded as it goes down. And that's a very simple way to help focus the attention back up there to the face.
Mm-hmm.
So you see her doing that a lot on these. It's like the feet, lower body, always getting shaded. And let's kind of see here. Yeah, even here, it's like this is a good example of, the top of the arms are more lit and the undersides are more shadowed. And that's what I'm thinking here too, is letting that be more lit and then the underside is more shadowed. And then I would just treat kind of all the way down to the waist, like all of that's going to be a bit shadowed. Kind of like you see under this arm over here. You have that soft shadow kind of all there. And then everything underneath that bag is sort of shadowed as well.
Well, I think you kind of need to decide what color is that dress really. Is it really light blue? Is it like a little bit darker blue?
Mm-hmm.
And then even it out just a little bit more, because right now it's a bit extreme, the value of the lit part to the darker part,
yeah,
shadow part. So I would just maybe grab a color in between and just glaze over everything
mm-hmm.
to even it out a little bit more.
Let's see. Also, yeah, the form of the hat would be another one. It's running a bit one tone. I might make like the top brighter, let it get a little more shaded as it comes down.
Treat it like a cylinder.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait to start the environment class. Oh yeah, you were working on environment examples today. Some new pages.
More accessories on the nurse. I mean, she's got some cool stuff. I just think that maybe it could just be popped out a little bit more. We're kind of losing some of it, like the scissors we're losing into the background.
The darks on the scissors maybe a little bit darker, highlights a little brighter. If she's got some of this, it looks like gauze, maybe. You could have like a longer trail of it kind of hanging down. That would work.
It would add a little something extra to the silhouette too.
Yeah. And if maybe there's something kind of sticking out of the bag a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like what Aurora did here. Right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you also see over here, like with Aurora's, it's very full. It's like it's being strained to close, right? I think that would be a little more interesting than this one. This one almost looks like it could pass for being empty because it's like dipping in on each side. I have to reverse it, and it gives the idea of like she's got a lot of something in there, but you don't know what it is. Yeah, so these are just some ideas. There's nothing wrong here. It's not quite done. So as you move forwards, hopefully some of these ideas are something that you can use.
It has a lot of character and it's fun. So I hope you just take it a little bit further.
Well, she does have another pocket there, I guess, if you wanted to put something in that pocket.
I would work on the bag since you already have something big in that area, and just slightly open it or have a bunch of stuff kind of poking out of it.
Mm-hmm. I was just looking at the face last time here. You're not going for complete realism. Like, you've got a stylization of the face. So I'm not going to try to correct that to make it realistic. You're not doing necessarily the same thing as some of the other artists. I'm wondering about her hair. Her hair is almost coming across grayish green a bit. I feel like maybe that needs to have more warmth in it. Take it a bit more to the brown side.
A bit more to the orange,
Yeah. But also it gives her kind of an eel look, so maybe that actually works well.
Sour look.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, she is also getting a little pale, so I would brush some more color in there. Like the skin tone is just a little too close to the white. Or maybe that's just how it looks from where I'm sitting.
It is pretty pale. You might want to take it down just a notch. And looking at the forms of the face, she's quite a thin character. And I do feel like this cheek on this left side is maybe just a little full compared to like the shadow pattern here. This side makes me feel like the cheek is not that full. So I would look at letting that be brought in more. She's got more sunken right there. And then right now we're pushing that brow out quite a bit. Just back that off a little bit. I feel like maybe that matches up with the other side of the face a little bit better. And she has a bit more of a pointy face. Kind of sits with the character maybe a little better. It's an idea. You can play with it and see. Any last thoughts?
Just one little thing. I know that the character, where is it? Option, command? Oh, yeah. No. Oh, gosh. Oh, here we go. Into the infinite.
Yeah, this is Ant-Man going,
I'm trying, I swear, I'm
sub-molecules here.
Okay. Is that, I know you have light eyes, but even light eyes, you want to be careful not to go into the same value as the eyeball, right? Because then you just lose the eye. So even though they're blue, I would just get like a slightly darker blue. Not super saturated, but...
Yeah, it still reads as light, but it's not getting lost as much.
What happens when you go too light with the iris is then you lose the personality of the eye. The eye just kind of disappears at a distance. So I would just bring some of that back in. I really cannot paint. It's not letting me paint it. Okay. Just bringing some of that back in so that you can actually see that look of disdain on her face.
Yeah, from a smaller size.
Because when the eyes are, when the irises are super light, you kind of just lose it. Yeah, that's what they say. If you stare into the infinite pixels, they stare back at you. So yeah, anyway, I don't think there's anything else really to say about it. I think it's really cool and fun. I think you discovered really the personality that we didn't even know this character had. Like when we wrote the description, we weren't necessarily thinking salty nurse, but I like that. Like you took that and then you improved upon the brief.
It totally fits for a murder mystery sort of character.
Yeah, that's like actually not an easy thing to do, which is to take the brief and then one-up it. Take what's there, deliver on what's there, but add even more interest to it. So you did that really well.
Yeah. Well, guys, that is all of the reviews this time. I'll take a quick second here to see if there's any questions that I missed. I don't think so. People were just answering some of these.
No.
Okay. Well, like I said, I will make an announcement on all of the Swatches locations, and we'll send out an email blast next time there is an art challenge. And that will probably be in 2 months. If it looks like for some reason we're going to have more time than we expect, then we'll run one sooner. But otherwise, if you want to see us again next week, then that's going to be in classes, and there are 4 classes still available. And go to swatchesacademy.com to check those out. And yeah, we wish you the best. You guys, anybody that finishes their piece or works on it more, wants to share it on Discord, we'd love to see it. I know other people get inspired by it. So please come out there and let us see what you've been doing. So we wish you the best until we see you next time. Keep drawing.